We continue to mourn with thousands of families across the country whose loved ones have been stolen from us by the invisible enemy.
That came after the president got scorched this weekend by both the New York Times and Washington Post. Ashley Parker of the Post did the math. Trump has, quote, spent 2 hours on the attack, 45 minutes praising himself, his team, 9 minutes promoting hydroxychloroquine, and just 4.5 minutes offering sympathy for the victims. That's out of 13 hours of talking. Here again tonight, presidential historian, Pulitzer Prize-winning biographer Jon Meacham. And to help you pass the time during quarantine, John Craftily has a new podcast, we know, called Hope Through History. It's a 5-part documentary series exploring other trying times in our history and how the nation successfully dealt with those crises before. John, he actually said, we do grieve. How far short does that fall from empathy?
Utterly. Words matter, obviously, because he says so many, and so many are about him. He's devalued the fundamental currency of leadership. I'm going to tell you quick 3 stories here. Our modern political era probably begins with a phone call. In 1960, Martin Luther King, in the first year of the big sit-in movement in the South, is arrested. Richard Nixon can't quite figure out what to do. John Kennedy, urged by Harris Wofford, his civil rights advisor, picks up the phone and calls Coretta Scott King. In a razor-thin election, that phone call, simply expressing sympathy, empathy, probably made the difference because it shifted a significant number of votes in an election where any number of votes changing was significant. Lyndon Johnson, Hurricane Betsy, remember, goes along the grounds of the Gulf Coast saying, "This is your president. I'm here to help." George Herbert Walker Bush, the Berlin Wall falls down. It's the most significant moment at the end of the Cold War. He won't say anything. He finally has a gaggle come into the Oval Office, and Leslie Stahl and others are beating on him. And he says, "I'm not an emotional kind of guy." He was the most emotional kind of guy you could possibly imagine. He wasn't dancing on the wall, as he put it, because he was thinking about someone who was in a tough spot. He was thinking about Gorbachev. And he knew that if this had happened to him, he did not need Gorbachev dancing on his grave. And he therefore eliminated his own political interest in order to find a more peaceable end to the Cold War. He didn't do that out of calculation entirely. He did it out of empathy. The fundamental human impulse, and certainly the fundamental political impulse, is, are you able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and convince that person that their cares and concerns are your cares and concerns?
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.